What if you could take that risk, make that change, reach that goal, live your best life? Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast, where we get together with amazing experts and everyday people who share challenges, encourage healing, and explore the possibilities that life has to offer. I'm your host, Gary Scott, and I'm excited that you're along for the ride. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast. And today, my shimmering guest, I love when my guests are lit up like this and fabulous, is Katy Temple. Hello, Katy.
Hello, Gary.
How are you?
I'm great. It's a great day. We had an earthquake in San Diego yesterday and we survived. So I'm feeling a little more stable.
We're rocking and rolling in
We
San
did
Diego.
yesterday. Yes,
We're
there's
rocking
rocking
and
and rolling.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to learn about Think coaching. We're going to think we've got our coaching program. We've got Think Temple. We've got your history and broadcasting. We've got a lot of fun to talk about. So let's jump in there. But real quick, I'm just going to read your bio so people
hmm
know who we're playing with if you're okay.
hmm
Cool biz. All right, everybody. We have Katy Temple, leveraging over 30 years of experience as an Emmy Award-winning sportscaster. Katy Temple founded Katy Temple Media Coaching 8 years ago, a presentation and media training company. Katy has a passion for business leaders who demand and deliver excellence. Katy empowers them to capitalize on critical moments by showing up with confidence and authority, whether in the boardroom, on stage, or on camera. Honing your communication and presentation skills is no longer optional in staying relevant. In today's environment, on strong camera presence can catapult your career. Staying on point and being intentional in your messaging, body language, tone, and presence gets you noticed in all the right people, launches lucrative careers, and leaves a positive and memorable impact on the world. Are you ready to make an impact? Let's get to work. I love it. 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 So, Katy, I can't wait to jump into this, but I'm contractually obligated by myself to ask the what if you could question or the what if you could podcast. So, just wondering if you have you ever had a what if you could moment that you'd love to share with the gang?
Probably 70,000, which I'm guessing your audience understands that because you've got the dream ones. Like what if I could just what if I could buy a property in Spain and live between San Diego and Spain? There's one that I could make happen. Or then there's the existential, which is what if I could go to heaven and see what's going on up there? Maybe
Mm.
say hi to my dad and my grandparents and some friends of mine and get a better feeling and then come back. And then there's the immediate ones that I deal with irregularly, either with my clients and myself because of what I coach, which is what if I didn't care about what anyone else said and I just went and did that presentation?
But you kind of whether you pushed yourself through it, whether you motivated you through it, whether you're scared as hell, you did that. You pushed your way through and said, "Screw it, I'm going to do it." Right? I
I
mean, you
did.
had to.
You do. And I think that's what I will say is that that's one of the things that I'm most proud of is that, and my stomach will attest to that, is for years and years and years, I started my broadcasting career off years and years ago, and I was nervous for every little thing that I did, whether it was reaching out to someone when I was young for an informational interview, whether it was talking to someone on a plane and trying to stay in touch with him or her because I wanted to be on TV, whether it was producing my first segment, whether it was being on the air for the first or 20,000th time. And I was always nervous. My stomach was always churning. I was always awake the night before. I always had a ton of adrenaline after that. I always second guessed how it went for a long time. And yet you push through. And that's one of the great things that I love about coaching is that one of the things that people think about is that nerves are a bad thing. I coach people with a growth mindset. Either they want to be better presenters, their careers are soaring, and so the stakes are higher, or they're being overlooked because they're smart, they've got passion and expertise, and they are not communicating that. So they're being overlooked at work and they're feeling deflated. And then when they talk about doing things that are out of their comfort zone to make themselves get attention at work, like presenting with more engagement or telling better stories or showing up with more confidence, they always say, I'm nervous. I have high end, very successful clients saying, I'm good with everything else, but at the beginning, I'm just so nervous. And it's always about nerves. And so the first thing I like to remind them of, especially growth mindset people, because we know that we have to be uncomfortable, is I need you to change that narrative. Nerves are a good thing. It means you care. So next time you start feeling that, whatever it is, stop, remind yourself what you're doing, thank your nerves for protecting you, smile, and remember this is a good thing. Because if you're doing something that's not interesting or boring or not moving the needle in anybody's life, you're not going to be nervous.
Thank your nerves for protecting you. Thank you, nerves, for making me pee my pants. You know, the thing is,
Your nerves, Gary, you can name your nerves.
why? Why is it that people would rather wrestle an entire bag of snakes than stand up in front of someone and say something, especially on camera? Why? What have you looked into? What's the psychology of that? What is that fear? Where does it come from?
Judgment.
Judgment. I was thinking failure, but judgment, yes, I agree 1,000%. Yeah, you're pretty exposed. You're pretty exposed when you're out there and you're being judged, and no one likes to be judged.
But you're right about the failure because they're intertwined. But the judgment from what my clients are worried about is, and when we get really deep, is you start asking yourself, do I really know this stuff? Why I'm not even important? Why am I speaking about this? All of like the negative things. So you talk about research. Data shows that our brains are wired to the negative, which is not cool. But like life is hard enough, right? Life is hard enough to have our brains be wired for the negative. So it's hard. You have to work extra hard to get the positive, unless you're one of those beautiful people that wake up with a smile on your face all of the time. But the things that my clients go through and the things that I went through, especially doing TV, where I don't like the way I look. I don't think that they think I'm important. What if they don't think I'm smart? What if I make a mistake and I get fired? Or what if I make a mistake on this panel and they don't ask me back? Or they don't, or my boss doesn't like the way that I'm representing the company? There are a variety of things that really bother them.
Yeah. You know, I have a friend of mine who's a fairly prominent actress, does movies and TV, and we talk about it all the time. It's no matter how successful it seems like a lot of people get, that fear never goes away. It's a trip. It's like, I mean, maybe some of the big, folks, but even, like the successful business people you work with, the powerful athletes, I mean, people like that, I mean, even they still, right, have that fear of that failure or staying where they are, right? It's a brutal thing.
Well, and it's interesting too, because when you get to the high level, like you were talking about, whether, say, I'm dealing with a professional athlete, because I've coached professional athletes. And the beauty about the professional athletes is that clearly, by definition, they've worked hard, they've been judged, and they've handled a lot of pressure, and they've had a lot of success by definition. And what I love is that they're smart enough to know that they don't know everything, so they need a coach. If you think about a baseball player, you've got a hitting coach focusing on hitting, even though you're in the regular season, whatever that is. They've got psychologists, they've got running coaches, whatever it is. So when you think about athletes, they're smart enough to know that, yeah, I'm really good here. And I got there from the work and the coaching because video is so important. In San Diego, for your audience out there who may either be Padres fans or just sports fans, Tony Gwynn Sr. was the original athlete when it came to looking at video. His wife started saying, I'm going to start recording you. This is such a beautiful story. And so then his wife would record him at the games, talk about dedication. And then they would go look at his at bats.
Hmm.
And that's when you tinker and you get better. And so he started doing that in the clubhouse. And as you see now, the audience probably sees now, you're watching an NFL game, those guys come off the field and they go right to their iPads. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're smart enough to know they need help there. It's the same thing with business professionals. They're confident with their family, they're confident in their business, they're confident with their workouts and their nutrition. And yet there's this one part where they haven't spent the time to get better at that skill set, which is how do you create a concise message? How do you tell a meaningful story and communicate it in a confident way so that you will make an impact?
It's I've been a real estate broker for 36 years, and when I first got my license, the first thing I did was go to a real estate training workshop, and then I hired the guy as a trainer. And he's like, "How long you been in business?" I said, "Like 2 weeks." He goes, "All right, well, this is a good way to start." I mean, I believed in coaching,
Yep.
my entire life. I literally have had a real estate coach, an NLP coach for as long as I can remember. And Michael Jordan said, "Dude, uh, everyone needs a coach. He's the greatest of all times, and he needs a coach." And I think why you're so important with your coaching is because I mean, now that you see these college athletes who can get paid,
Yeah.
I mean, these kids have never been exposed to what they're getting exposed to now, and they could screw it up fast. So going to someone like you can change their future. I mean, just by getting some coaching when they get these interviews when they're a sophomore in college, right?
Right, exactly. And that's that whole thing with NIL and what's going on with college sports is a little too much to even take in right now because there's some elements that are really fair and then there's other ones where it's where in the world are we going here. That being said, for what I do, it's got to be with people that think they need to be better and want to do the work to be better. And that's where there's a really fine line there. So people say that a lot to me. What about the NIL athletes? What about this? What about that? And I will tell you that if you're working with me, we're going to do the work and you are going to get comfortable being uncomfortable because that's where the growth is. And you're going to invest your time and your money or your company's money. And if you don't think that you need to be better or want to be better, it's not a good fit. And what I'm seeing in NIL is that these athletes are adored and full stop.
Yeah. But
So if
like you
you're
said,
still
it's quite a bit. It's like, what are we going to go now to high school? I mean, are we going to go? I mean, how far are we going to take this thing? It's a little bit creepy, really. But still, I mean, if they're in it, we're in it, right? And they might as well go to someone like you to help them because we are where we are, right? And a lot of these kids just literally, I mean, they have tutors. They don't even do their own homework because they're stars, right? So when they get in front of that camera, they can't fake it. They don't have someone doing it for them. They've got to be able to step up and hit that mark, or it can, yeah, I mean, it could cost them.
right. I mean, and I'll just go back to the original point. Yes, and they got to want it.
Yeah.
Because when you're, and I don't know how, I mean, when you see the way that athletes are adored in their inner circle, adored and looked up to and kind of worshiped, and they're playing well, in their eyes or in whoever's eyes, everything's just fine. So, and that's great. That's their journey. My clients are people that, and I do have athletes, but mostly business people. My clients are ready to invest in showing up more authentically and confidently, no matter what, whether it's on a Zoom or whether they're on the stage or they're having to do videos or talking to the media, no matter what.
I mean, Zoom,
Mm-hmm.
social media. I mean, literally, you're always on camera now. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you're literally always on camera now. So if you don't, I mean, most interviews are done on camera. I mean, most communication now, like we're doing now, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you have to learn how to get comfortable on camera now. It's not even really much of an option if you're going to either lead, or you're going to be an athlete who wants to get those endorsements, or if you're a CEO who wants to communicate more with your investors. I mean, it's kind of crucial now, isn't it?
Yes, and one of the biggest challenges that I work with a lot of people in STEM, And the
And wait,
challenge
wait, in what?
in STEM, science, technology,
Oh,
engineering, and math.
an acronym. I didn't catch it. I'm like, what?
Oh,
Okay.
I'm glad. No, that's good. That's good feedback for me. I should make sure that everyone understands what STEM is.
What is STEM again?
So
Okay.
it's science,
Yeah.
technology, engineering, and math. So it's a wide, I mean, I work with people in finance, I work with technology, sometimes fintech, bio, whatever that is. And I work all over I'm global, and San Diego has a big section, Qualcomm's here, Intuit's here, etc. So
Yeah.
all that to say is these professionals who are so smart and so detail oriented because they've lived their life working through solutions and having everything have to be exact to make it work. And we love them for that because we are leaders in the US because of them. And yet, nobody has taught them that how they're communicating it to a variety of audience matters because they've really been creating magic in their own little corner. And so what I love to do is I do a lot of is remind them, okay, but not everybody's going to understand what you're saying on the kind of piggybacking on the acronym part, Gary. And when your career starts growing and you're starting to be on panels, et cetera, you can't just talk to the audience like they're your boss. You've got to create a more concise and digestible message, and you need to use your voice, and you need to use volume, and you need to look them in the eye, and they're not used to that. And then part of what you were talking about being on camera, the other challenge in STEM is that they're so used to being on phone calls and multitasking. I've worked in technology. I've worked in technology, and I'm looking at my phone right now because it's very common for them to be on a call and, multitasking when their camera's off. And the problem with that is that there's no such thing as multitasking. Look at the data. So you can think that you're really being proficient at stuff, and you're not.
Right.
Number one. Number two, you've got to be present. And so you've got to turn that camera on. In order to build relationships and trust, we want to make it as close to being across the table in somebody's office as we can. And it's crucial when you're dealing with clients and building trust and creating messages that you're seeing people and looking them in the eye so that they can see you and feel like they can touch you.
Yeah. It's funny because you watch, I just love watching interviews. I don't know, maybe that's how I started doing this, but I love watching interviews and how people do it and how, some are just so good at it and some are just, so horrible at it. But you watch some of these people, I mean, these brilliant people. I mean,
Yeah.
you watch early Jeff Bezos interviews or Zuckerberg interviews and you go, fuck, that's so painful. That poor guy. They just had no communication skills. They're brilliant,
Yeah.
right? They're brilliant geeks. They're brilliant at what they do. Steve Jobs, you look at Steve Jobs became a great presenter when he started doing his thing, but early on, the guy was just a knucklehead. So you either come to someone like you and
Yeah.
learn how to do it, or eventually you morph into being able to do it. But I don't think it comes naturally to 90% of people, right?
No, you're right. And you have to want it. And this is the thing I always tell my clients, please give yourself grace, please give yourself grace, please give yourself grace. This is a skill set. It's a skill set. And you have to build habits to be good at it. And that's not, you don't just turn out to be a good presenter. Now, there are exceptions to anything, but you have got to identify what your challenges are. For example, you're brilliant, you're rich, you're a humanitarian, and you talk too much. And you lose people because you go on and on and on, or you don't look at them. You mumble and you look down, and maybe the things coming out of your mouth are brilliant, and maybe you're rich, and maybe you're successful, and you're not getting your points across like you could. And it's hard, which is why you need to want to be better, to engage with your audience, and you need to do the work. And it's funny that you say that about Steve Jobs because I coach. One of the things that I help my clients do is keep a more concise slide deck to avoid, as they
Wait, a more concise what?
slide deck to avoid death by PowerPoint. I mean, because listen, Gary,
Death by PowerPoint.
if you're giving me some presentation and you're reading from your slides, my brain doesn't know whether I'm supposed to listen to Gary's voice or watch what Gary's got on the screen. And they, what a lot of people are guilty of, and I've been guilty of, is using the slides as your teleprompter, because they say, okay, here's the information, I'm just going to present it and I can just read the slides. That is a no on so many levels, so many levels. And so I coach my clients on how to make effective slides. And two things about the gentleman that you mentioned. Number one, Bezos, and I'm sure a lot of your audience knows this, won't let his people use PowerPoints at all. None. You got to tell the story.
I did not know that. No.
And Steve Jobs, to your point, became brilliant at it. And I use some of his examples because now he's got beautiful products. So the photos tell the story, which I encourage. But he's a perfect example of how to tell a story through stories, or excuse me, how to tell a story through photos. Get in and get out, make an impact. Our brains remember things up to our brains remember half of what we hear at one point. Don't do the extra work. Don't do the extra work. Make it concise, make your point, make an impact, and get out of there.
Yeah. When you're talking about, person to person, that's true. We used to do a fun thing that with our kids when they were little, before they left, we would have them come over, shake their hand, look me on and say, "Good morning. How are you?" We used to practice with our, 2 and 3 year old, our boys. And now people always comment, "God, your son, right there, he just looks you in the eyes. He greets you. He's kind. He stands up when someone comes to a table. He doesn't greet you sitting down." There are still little things that you could do in person that leave such an impact on people besides what we have to do on this thingy.
100%. That's good parenting. For you guys did a great thing for them, because that was, they're learning that stuff in their formative years. And one of the other things I tell my clients, trust me when I tell you, it's the little things that make the biggest difference. So you've got some high school kid coming over to someone's house and they look you in the eye and shake your hand. You're all in. Tell me more.
You remember that kid.
And if
Right?
they remember your name, by the way, cherry on the top. So to your point, there are things parents can do and people can do around the house. I have some of my clients, I've said just for fun, who have filler word issues, crutch word issues, where they say like or so a lot. I say, okay, remember when you were young and you had a swear jar, your parents had a swear jar, maybe, some people. Instead of a swear jar, do a filler.
I didn't have it because I didn't have that much cash on hand. Right. It would not be good.
You'd have to sell more houses. Yeah.
Exactly.
So have a filler word jar, and then maybe the family or the friends or the roommates toss in a quarter. No one has cash these days, but maybe tosses in, I don't know, a vape every time someone hears a filler word. Or I've done, if you do a filler word, 10 push-ups, whatever that is. Or I have a friend who has, and she and her husband have 3 kids, and they did what you and your partner did, in that they would have these conversations about how did your day go, etc. But they wouldn't let them move forward when they had a filler word. They were watching filler words on a daily basis, which is the best way to do it, like you and your wife, because you're creating these habits. And I tell my clients too that are working with filler words is, this isn't about you just getting ready to nail your big presentation or your whatever it is that you're doing, or your interview. This is about you changing this habit in your conversation at dinner tonight, and then your conversation tomorrow night at dinner.
Yeah. Because for me, in my business, I'm unemployed every day. I don't care how many listings or buyer clients I have. Literally, I'm unemployed every day. I've got to get up and I've got to go find business. I'm unemployed every moment of every day is the way I look at it. So, and I tell my boys, when I was doing a little bit of coaching in real estate, because I've been doing it so long, people, ask what the heck. And, I always tell them, I said, it starts before you even open your mouth. It starts before you even say a word many times. When you walk into a presentation, a listing appointment, and stuff like that, you walk into people's homes, they've immediately sized you up, right? So when you're doing your coaching, how is that working? Are you working with mostly people in person in your coaching programs? Are you working with them like this? How are you training most of your people?
I will get that to that in a second because I want to address what you said. So, going back to the title of the show, what if you could take a beat before your an interaction, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 50 seconds, and stop, take a beat, think about who's going to be in that room, what your goals are, and how you want to come across, and create a concise message so that you're more impactful versus what we do. Life is busy. On average, our brains have 70,000 thoughts go through our head, and social media, and. What if you could take a beat before you got on your next Zoom, cleared out your cache from the meeting before? Remember, okay, today, right now, I'm going to talk to Gary Scott. And I remember that his podcast is What If You Could? And I'm going to figure out what's going to be the most impactful for his audience by asking him, and then have a good time versus going on to the next and next and next and not being present. So to follow up your thing about the way I work is I can do both. I do in person. I can do in person one-on-one and group workshops. So I'll go to a big company and do workshops for their leadership team or their mid-managers in person. And I can also do things virtually. I've had clients in Saudi Arabia, in France, across the country. I do have a group coaching program we can talk about later where people come from all over the country. And what I learned during COVID, Gary, which was a blessing, was that I can do this effectively virtually. I can do it effectively virtually.
It's amazing how much COVID changed so much about how much we relate and how much we correspond and communicate and stuff like that. I went on your site. I watched a lot of your videos on YouTube, and I watched on your website and things like that. And I thought it was just so fascinating how, because like we said earlier, most people would rather wrestle a bag of snakes and talk in front of people. It's just the craziest fear of that. But how people morph from when they get there and when they start with you, and how they're not what they say at the end in the interview, right? But how you can see their physicality change. How you see their belief in themselves change, their comfort level change. They come in scared shitless and then they
Yeah.
leave going, "Oh, I'm gonna kill this," right? I mean, you really take people from one extent to the other. It's pretty awesome.
Confidence comes from within, and that's my goal.
What was that? Wait, what?
Confidence comes from within.
Oh, right. Love it.
Now, it begets confidence, begets confidence. So, one of the things that we do is a lot of practice on camera. So, for example, you're doing presentations, you're interviewing with the media, you're doing a talk, you're just running a meeting, you're on a panel. I want that recorded, and then we're going to go over it together. And that is really uncomfortable. And I tell my clients, I was a sportscaster locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally for over 25 years. And it took me years to be okay watching my stuff on camera. Just fight through it. I promise what we're going to do is you and I are going to see what you're good at, and then we'll see some area of opportunities. So the beauty of what I do is I really like to build the confidence from within, and they get practice. So there's no question that they can see how they've gotten better, and they have tools. So then they get to take the tools back in, 5 years later, they've got some things coming up or they're struggling or whatever. They can go back to their notes and say, oh, yeah, that's right. I got to remember who that audience is and what they need from me. I do have to remember, are my shoulders back? So that it kind of comes from inside out. And as you know, like humans, everybody's different. So some people make big strides and some people make little ones. And for me, as long as they see it in themselves, I am happy.
Who's your most I don't know if the word right is common, but who are the people that seek you out the most, or who is kind of like your niche that you really like to go after? You say is it more the CEO than the athletes? Is it I mean, who is it that kind of comes to you now for this type of training?
It's business leaders. It's
Mm.
business leaders, and it doesn't have to be CEOs. I have C-suite and I have business leaders. And for example, some of them, I know I mentioned this earlier, but you see people and they're in their industry and they're starting to soar, and they're maybe middle managers, and people are starting to notice that they're pretty talented and they know what they're doing and they're helping their company. So they're starting to get opportunities at conventions, or they're starting to have to lead presentations or be on panels. And that's a next level thing. And that is exposing them, and they want help for that. That's one example. Sometimes I'll go work with groups of companies where maybe the company is growing, and so they need to get really on the same page with what their value is in the market, for example. So I was in Dallas 2 months ago, and I was with this big insurance company, and they're merging with all these companies, and so it's time for everybody to get on the same page. And we spent a half hour, and these are professionals who have had a lot of success. We spent a half hour or a half day talking about what the company looks like in the marketplace, what they look like in the marketplace, and what the value is, so that everybody's on the same page. And then, I mean, it really varies. I have people that want help with TED Talks. I have people that want to be more comfortable on Zoom. I have executive directors who will say, I am great in a room. I am great in a room. I am great asking for money. I am great with my presentations. And when that camera goes on, I freak out.
Exactly.
I freak out. Or I'll have CEOs say, uh, everything's great. They're on these big time boards and they've got these big time audiences. I can't get through the beginning. The beginning is the hardest thing. And everybody's got their own. I should go back and get a degree in therapy, because I mean, I could use it. Trust me, I could use it, but this is human stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it is because it's a deep, like I said, it's one of the number one deepest fears that people have. It's the most amazing thing. I just, I don't know. I've never had it. My kids never had it. But I know I talk to friends. I'm like, dude, you've got great listings. You're so attractive. You're so, you communicate so well. Why aren't you doing more, videos for your listings and more video stuff? Get more on social media. Um, they're like, oh, I can't do it. I'm like, dude, you turn your phone on, you just babble for a minute. The more real, the better. People don't give a shit. Everyone, it's going to be gone in 30 seconds anyways. So before I scroll off too much on that point, but do people still do elevator speeches? Is that
Yes,
something
and
I think?
I was talking to my group, and I like to call them more conversation starters, but yes. And yes, and I mean, I've done workshops on networking, Gary, because people don't know. What about introverts? Think
Mm,
about the introverts that have to go in, and there's this pressure for
wicked.
networking, and people put so much pressure on themselves. And how do I create a brand, or how do I create a community? And I don't know how to talk to people, and I don't know. I'm really good here, but with groups, and
Do you still want to tell people that when you walk out there to do a speech from a bunch of people, imagine they're all naked? Is that still the thing?
it works. It works for people. There's a couple things you can think about. That's the other thing, is that I do have a variety of tools for each person, because their brains work differently. And that's what I love. So sometimes the clients won't be emotionally attached to the outcome. They're in a mindset where, listen, I don't care. I know I'm not good at this. Just get me better. I'm confident. I don't care. So, for example, I have a woman that's a leadership trainer at a big insurance company, separate from the one in Dallas, and successful, knows how to communicate, puts on training, and hired me for 6 months for the smallest things, which was so fun because we can really geek out and tweak. Okay, Katy, this is what I need to know. I've got to do this panel. What do I do? How do I stand? How do I talk? What do I do? And it becomes technical, which also happens to some of my clients. Okay, I'm good. I'm confident. No worries on the insecurity. I just need you to tell me I know this doesn't look good. I need you to tell me how to get better. Tony Gwynn Jr., my first client, who is Tony Sr.'s son, he needed help transitioning from Major League Baseball as a player to a broadcaster. He was he was so technical and thirsty for knowledge and willing to do the work. And there was no issue with any kind of insecurity emotionally or attachment. You know, it was like, okay, what do I do about this?
Mm.
And so that it kind of really depends. I really try to do a foundation and then meet the client where they are.
Yeah, yeah. God, you've been so gracious with your time. I don't want to take too much more. So I just have another question, and then I want to get into your business just a little bit more. So, I lied earlier because I'm a liar. I'm a realtor. We all lie. I said I only had one question, but I have two questions. So, if you were going to leave us with a final thought on how you on whatever. I don't care. It could be about your business. It could be about you growing up. It could be about anything you want. If you had a final thought that meant something to you that you'd love to share with us, um, what would that thought be?
I think I mean, considering that that is a really deep question and you didn't give me any time to prepare, thanks for that.
I never do.
I
I
would
lie.
just
See.
say if you know that you love something and you want to do it, just go for it. And that could be anything. That could be making a list of people you need to contact. That could be talking to someone and saying, would you mind introducing me to something? Or that could be practicing videos on your phone. Or that could be something small as Googling Katy Temple to see what services that she provides. Because the universe loves action, period. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just trying to inspire because I love having people see their full potential so much because we're on this earth for no time at all. And what if you could go for it?
I love that message. See, that's why I catch you off guard. See, because that was so perfect. That was so brilliant. I love that. So now tell us before we get out of here. Now you've got a lot going on. Like I said, I spent a lot of time on your YouTube. You've got so many great clips on your YouTube. Spent a lot of time on your website. So what do you have going on? What's coming up? What's Katy Temple doing now?
Thanks for asking. What I'm excited about now, and maybe your audience wants to hear a little bit more about it, is I have the Impactful Speaker, which is a virtual group speaker program. My cohort right now ends tomorrow. It's our last day. The next cohort starts May 15th, and it is 8 weeks, 90 minutes virtually once a week, Thursday, starting May 15th, every Thursday for 8 weeks, Pacific Standard Time. And what I love about it is that it is a group, which means that there is a group of business professionals supporting each other, providing feedback, while I'm also giving guidance, strategy, and life coaching. So there is a little bit of one-on-one to it. In other words, I will spend time with you. And the beauty of it is that when they're supporting each other, because these people are business leaders with a growth mindset that either, like we talked about before, are smart, are passionate, have experience, and they are not communicating that way. So they're feeling deflated and not seen, and they're not getting opportunities at work. Or their careers are starting to soar and they need to communicate to match those stakes. Or they've just decided, I know I'm not good at this. Katy told me it's a skill. I trust her, so I'm going to invest in myself or ask my company to invest in me. It is a write off. And then they work together and they're successful, Gary, so that I learned from them. They're giving each other feedback that maybe I didn't see or something else. And that's the beauty of it, because sometimes they're more interested in what each other thinks than what I think. And it is such a beautiful thing. And we go through, do you talk about the elevator pitch or the conversation starters? It's a 3-block program. We talk about getting clear on your purpose or your why, creating it, and then delivering it. We talk about your elevator pitch or your conversation starter. My name's Gary Scott. This is what I do and why it matters. and how are you delivering that? And then the third block is what we call a confidence pitch, which is focusing in on a service or a product or yourself or an event. And so those are the things that you actually practice. And
Is this Zoom? Is this Zoom or is this live?
zoom, zoom, zoom,
Cool, cool, cool. Okay.
zoom,
So
zoom,
so
zoom.
when you've got the group, you've got I love that because you've got interaction with people kind of
Yes.
supporting each other. Hey, you do it. Let me hear you do it. What do you
Yes.
guys think of that? And then you can feedback, which that builds that comfort level. It's all right. Like my peers are helping me along with my coach, and that's helping my confidence level, right? I think I love that. That's
Well,
awesome.
they've all been there before. They've been there before, and I will step back a lot of times, especially towards the end when they deliver. I really turn into a facilitator because I want to hear what everybody else says first, and then if they haven't said it, then I will add it. And but this is their group. I will give them the support and the tools because they get tools to walk away with, and then I'm accessible during the week. During the 8 weeks, if they want to send me a practice video, I have them send it on my phone and I'll give them feedback. I really want them to see because you can see where they started and then where they ended, and because each version is recorded, they can watch themselves.
I love that. I love that. And so when you so this is going to start
The
May
next
15th.
mhm,
It's going to be for 8 weeks. It's going to
mhm.
be what time at
8 to
Pacific time?
9:30 Pacific Standard.
9:30. And then we just go to your website to find this. What's the website we can
No,
go to?
have them call me. So this
Oh,
is because
okay.
it's really important. The other thing I want to add is that it's really important that it's a good fit. This isn't just about filling spots. It's about, do you want to be a better presenter? Is this a good fit for you? Do you thrive in the group coaching program? Are you willing to do the work? Because that's where you're going to get better. So I would love
I
to have,
love that. I love that because now you're kind of making sure the people, like you said earlier, you have to want it, right? You have to want it and you have to be there because we've all been on these things where you've got those one or two knuckleheads that are just completely screwing up the whole the whole class. So with you vetting it like that, that's really awesome because you're getting a solid group of like-minded people who really want to empower themselves and have you help them be better communicators. So I love that you do that. That's great. That's super important.
thank you. Yeah, you could actually, that was a brilliant tagline. I might hire you to be my PR person. That's exactly. That's exactly it. So I would just love to jump on a call. So I don't know how you're telling your listeners, but I would either email me or give me a call. Just call me or email me and say, hey, I heard you on Gary Scott. Tell me more about the impactful speaker.
Yeah. So whatever you put in that form I asked you to fill out, whatever's in there is what's going to go on the podcast where people can find you,
Okay.
if that's okay. I
But I
think it
guess
has your
it has
email
to,
and I think it has your website. So they can email you and say, I'm interested. And you
yeah,
can say, okay, I'll call you.
yeah, that's
Give me a
perfect.
call.
Yeah, because
Okay.
they can go on my Calendly. Yeah, that's perfect. And
Awesome.
I'm on
Awesome.
LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. If your audience is on LinkedIn, I like that platform, and I do have a YouTube channel, as you know.
Yep, 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 yep. I actually like LinkedIn more than any of them now. That's
Me
kind of
too.
grown on me to be my favorite one. I think it's less crazy. So everybody, this has been Katy Temple. We've got Think Temple. Tell us your website again. What's your website again?
Think Temple's actually my LLC. My website is katytemplemediacoaching.com.
KatyTempleMediaCoaching.com. We'll put
Mm-hmm.
that on there too. You've just been amazing. I'm so grateful for your time. I know you're busy. You got a big project going on. You're finishing your coaching now. This has been great, and it's so important, guys. I mean, everybody knows, I swear, if you don't know how important it is to get comfortable on screen, on a Zoom, on a social media, whatever, then you're just going to be replaced by AI and it won't matter. So get with Katy Temple, everybody, right,
It's
Katy?
more fun, Gary. The other thing about the way that you're showing up is you have to do it anyway. Isn't it more fun? You want to be memorable, and it's more fun. It's fun to be good at things. I
It
can help.
is. It is. And not only that, you know how it feels when you knock it out of the park. When you just go, damn, I
Yes.
nailed that. I mean, I'll leave a listing presentation sometimes going, dude, you
Yes.
suck. And
Yes.
I've left them where I just go, oh, bro, dude, you killed that. And it usually starts with, like you said, the mindset before I walk in. When I take that moment, I visualized real quick, and I'll let you go. But anybody who watched the Masters this
Oh,
weekend, and you watched these guys'
oh.
visualization was crazy, right? Was it crazy how they were like just so locked in on the visualization? I'm going, wow, these guys have great sports psychologists.
Well, they have the best sports psychologist, and the ability to focus and be present for 18 holes with the gallery, with your opponent walking next to you, coming from maybe a shot where you're out of bounds or in a terrible lie in a bunker, is next level. And the beauty of golf, which is really a different topic that we're going on, but the beauty of golf is that they are next level, and they're like you and I that like to play golf. Rory McIlroy double bogeyed the first hole on Master Sunday when he was playing with DeChambeau. He double bogeyed the first hole, and he won, and he forced, and Justin Rose forced a playoff, and Rory still won.
When he hit it in the water at 13, to come back from that, because if you remember Jordan Spieth in 2014 when he was going to go back-to-back Masters, and on 12 he put it in the water like 3 times. He never recovered from that. He still hasn't recovered from that from 10 years ago. And Rory put it in the water at 13 when he was at 14 under. I was like, dude, you're how? And he, I don't know how he came back. Anyways, we could
Well,
squirrel on that.
it's really important, though, really quick
Yeah,
for your
yeah.
podcast and for my clients, is that the thing that Rory said at the end was that he was proud of himself because he was resilient. And I
Yeah.
think that that's what I like to remind my clients about when you're learning how to present, and we're making progress, and then you go have a bad day. That doesn't mean it's over. That just means that you took a step backwards. The important thing is bouncing back, learning from that and bouncing back. We are not searching for perfection here. There's no such thing. We're searching for impact. And that's why, and I know this isn't a sports podcast, but this is why watching athletes is such a good inspiration, because you can say they're rich, you can say whatever you want. They've also been through the biggest ups and downs that you've ever imagined.
Yeah, and golf guys melt down, man. You'll see a guy who's just like on fire. You go, this guy's going to be the next Tiger Woods, and 2 years later he disappears. I know you got to go. But just because we by the side, I got to just let everyone know, you actually had to walk up and ask Tiger Wood a question,
I
and you
did cover the
interviewed.
PGA when I was living, when the PGA Tour, for the golfing fans out there. There's a tournament in San Diego once a year. And when I was covering San Diego sports from 1999 to 2005 at Fox 6, which was a local TV station, I was a weekend sports anchor. And the PGA would come to town, and Tiger was in, I mean, that was when it was Tiger time.
Right.
And, you know, I interviewed a lot of big time athletes. I think that one was caused maybe the most anxiety. It was,
He's pretty intense, dude, man.
yeah, well,
Especially then, he was locked in hard.
yeah, that's to your point. You said it perfectly. Now he'd probably play a game of checkers if I asked him.
Yeah,
But back then it was tough.
yeah.
And you want to make sure you're just stressed about, you don't want to look stupid in front of him or anybody else. And your boss is like, you got to get Tiger, you got to get Tiger. And respectfully, Tiger didn't really say much at the time. You just had to get him. And so I would encourage all of your audience members to just do it.
Yeah. To go with the Tiger logo.
Just I would tell you, all of your audience, whatever it is, just ask Tiger a question. Whatever that looks like to you, just ask Tiger that question.
Oh, Katy Temple, you're awesome. I could talk to you forever. You did so much. I mean, you didn't even touch on Katy Temple. Katy Temple's got a plethora of stuff we could touch on, but I wanted to focus on the coaching. I wanted to focus on how she's empowering people. It's so crucial what you're doing. It could seriously make or break people, their communication skills right now. If you can't get comfortable doing this, you're toast. I mean, I'm sorry, you just are. I hate to say it, but that's just the world we live in, right, kiddo? It just is. Yeah.
You want to be proud. You want to be proud of yourself.
Yeah, and I'm proud of you. All right,
Thank you.
guys, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Tune in another episode of What If You Could podcast with the amazing Katy Temple. Look her up. I'll put all of her information on there so she can help you guys communicate well too. Thanks, Katy.
Thank
See you
you.
guys. Thanks again for joining us on another episode of What If You Could podcast. Please subscribe, like, share, and give us any feedback. We'd love to hear it. And remember, if you can dream it, you can do it. See you next time.